God can't multiply what you don't plant. And by can't, I don't literally mean that God can't do something, but there does seem to be patterns and structures and rules set in place in the spiritual realm that manifest themselves in the physical realm. And we see these patterns over and over again in the scripture. And I think that these patterns can apply themselves to so many different areas of our life, including in business. So if you are a faith-based entrepreneur, or you feel that stirring in your soul that God's been tapping on your heart, that it is time for you to do something with your passions, hobbies, skills, education, testimony, victories, the things that you've overcome, the things that you're walking through, the things that you're passionate about talking about. You just don't know exactly where to begin, or you've been dragging your feet, or you're a little bit overwhelmed with what you're supposed to do first, and so you have been procrastinating. You're in the right place today, or I hope that you are going to think that by the end of this video. If you are new here, my name is Lee. This is Homespun Income, where we are building and being built. And so if you end up enjoying this video today, I would love to have you subscribe so that we can visit again. Jesus, I will sing your praises forevermore. So welcome back to another business meeting. Whether or not you consider yourself a Christian entrepreneur just yet, the fact that you're here means that either you're in the journey, you're restarting the journey, or you have that tippity tap going on your heart. And maybe it just started, or maybe it's been going on for a long time, but you just haven't done anything about it yet. And this might be your sign that it is time to finally begin. We see a pattern in scripture of God asking human beings to sow a seed. And then he is the one that comes along and he provides all of the resources to create the increase. He is the one who brings forth the favor. He is the one that brings forth the harvest. He is the one that brings forth the motivation, the inspiration, the wisdom, the skill sets, the gifts, the story. God opens the doors no man can shut and shuts the doors no man can open. He is the God who multiplies and brings forth the increase. We see this so clearly right at the beginning of every human story. A seed is planted in the womb. God breathes on that seed and it becomes a living soul. And then he knits everything together in his perfect complex design, and he brings forth the increase to completion. We see Paul saying, I planted, Apollos watered, but it is God who brings forth the increase. This is one of the things that separates any type of entrepreneurship from faith-based entrepreneurship, because we recognize that it must be more of him. May he increase and I decrease. We recognize that our very breath is held together by the living God. We are not out here with the mentality that it is our hustle and our grind. We do recognize that we must be diligent. We must sow the seed. We must put our hands to the plow. We must be willing to steward all the things that God brings into our hands with diligence and honor and respect. But we also acknowledge that he alone is the one that fulfills the promise. He alone is the one that brings forth the increase. It is the humility of the understanding that the outcome belongs to God and that it is his business in the first place, that he is meant to be at the center of everything that we do. And so we declare him as CEO, and this is one of the main things that sets it apart. We're going to talk about some practical application. There might be a wee bit of tough love in here, but listen, I have these conversations with myself. There's nothing I'm going to say to you today that God hasn't slapped me upside the head with when I've been out on one of my prayer walks or one of my business meetings with him. So I have had to wrestle with all of these things. And there have been multiple stages along my journey where I have dragged my feet in different areas. And God has come along and said, am I the one that was asking you to wait? Because that's a whole different ball game than if I am asking you to move and for some reason you're not being obedient to that. What is the delay? And so I've had to sit with myself many times and figure out what is the delay here. And sometimes it's just starting in general. Sometimes it's getting to another level of your business where you finally are going to commit to an expansion or to doing the thing that you are afraid to do. So it's pretty deep. You know, entrepreneurship for a believer is spiritual. It is spiritual before it is physical. It's so beautiful because a lot of people don't realize what a refining process business with God is. Business is an extension of ministry. It is ministry in the marketplace because we are called anywhere we go to bring the light of Christ with us, to be a city on a hill and not put our light under a bushel. So even if you are not directly talking about scripture, you are still prayerfully, as a believer in the marketplace, whatever you're doing, you are still prayerfully bringing the light of Christ and the power of his word into wherever you are going, that people feel the Spirit of God on you and they know that something is different in that interaction that they are having. All of us are going to mess this up. None of us are going to get this perfect all the time. We can be a light in any place that we go into and glorify our Father in heaven. 2 Corinthians says that God supplies seed to the sower and then he multiplies the seed. So he supplies the seed in the first place. And this is why it all keeps circling back to the fact that we give him glory for everything. And this is the place where we recognize that it's really all from him. It's all for him. It's all about him. And self gets crushed, which quite frankly, I'm thankful for, because my history, my pattern in history is that I mess things up. This is the first time in my life when I have embarked on one of these adventures, fully submitted and surrendered to God. Again, not perfectly, but that's the positioning of my heart. And this is the first time it's worked out. I have attempted entrepreneurship many times in my life. And this is the first time that it's worked out, because I'm operating with full cylinders because they belong to him. I don't have to rely just on my own intellect and hope for the best, or my own wisdom and hope for the best, and I know that whatever systems of this world are going on, that God can override them. One thing that I want to begin to do is to acknowledge your comments during these videos and be able to go into them a little more in depth. So if you want the chance to have one of your comments highlighted in a future video, you simply have to leave a comment. I can't read your mind. So you got to leave a comment, and then if I see a comment that applies to a video that I'm going to be making, I can highlight the comment and then I can get into it a little more. But this one that I saw the other day, I thought that this was a great comment for this video in particular. Natalie CE said this: "Thank you for your content, Lee." You are so welcome, Natalie. Thank you for even watching this content. It still blows my mind that people want to watch my content. It's really cool. "Only just found your videos. Well, welcome to the community. What would you say to those of us who maybe have skills like myself, with fascia movement teaching, but I'm not super excited by it, nor do I want to be all over YouTube teaching it. I love food and cooking, but it feels like there are a sea of people doing that. So how do we pick something that's actually unique and that will fit an online model?" This ties in perfectly to the idea that God can override every system. And I've mentioned this before, that if God is calling you to do something, you don't have to have all of the bits and bops and details of it figured out yet. But if God is calling you to do something, to step out in courage and do it, it means that there is room for you at the table. God is faithful to perform his word. He will prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies. If you plant the seed in faith, God brings forth increase. God is faithful to perform his word. What I have found is that despite there being a sea of people doing certain things, like she specifically mentioned here, that she loves food and cooking, but she feels like there's a sea of people doing that. And she points out that she feels like she's more of an expert at the fascia movement teaching, but she's not excited by that. She doesn't want to do that on YouTube. So if I was coaching Natalie, I would say, don't do something that you're not excited by. Don't do something that you're not moved to talk about just because you think, well, that's my area of expertise, or that's a little bit less saturated. What I teach in my Masterclass and my Crack the Code course, a lot of the things that I teach in these coaching courses is how to take the niche, and it actually doesn't matter where your focus is going to be. It matters how you position it. It matters how you position yourself within it, and it matters how you package it. So this idea of saturation, first of all, it falls very flat in the light of what God is capable of doing. He sees all this stuff from the beginning to the end. He knows everything that's going on in the market. He knows everything that's going on in the world. He knows the timelines. And if we are believers in the Lord Jesus Christ and we have surrendered to Him and we are filled with His Spirit, He has told us that He delights to give us wisdom. Say to God, give me eyes to see, give me ears to hear. I want to hear and see beyond the wisdom of this world. I want to have confirmation in my heart beyond the wisdom of this world. I desire an increase in wisdom so that I am able to be on the path that you desire me to be on, because I believe that you are faithful to perform your word. I talk about, I have a whole video called Business Meetings with God, if you'd like to check that out. I also have a whole free Skool community about business meetings with God called the Co-Labor Collective, and a free download that you can get in that community or on my Stand store to guide you through business meetings with God. And I actually have a paperback version coming out very, very soon if you like a good devotional journal planner right in your hand that you can write on with pen. So stay tuned for that. But this is why it's important. It's important to answer these questions. And if we have limiting beliefs around God and around these conversations, we need to tackle those too. I have a book that's already out in paperback and, is it paperback and hardcover? It might be both, called Redeeming Wealth. And that gets into all of the limiting beliefs, the spiritual stuff, the generational stuff. I think it's so beautiful and important to dig into these issues on all the different levels, because the people that I see really tackle this stuff from every angle, they tend to have the most sustainable success. You see, the enemy knows where we're vulnerable. He knows what our insecurities are. And if you don't think that he is going to try to get in the middle of you and what God has prepared for you, just he enjoys the shenanigans. And so we must be prepared for that. And part of the way we get ahead of that is dealing with our limiting beliefs, our wrong view, if we have any wrong view of God, if we have any wrong view of God as Father, wrong view of Him when it comes to resources, if we have a wrong view of ourselves and we're not seeing ourselves through His lens, but rather through another lens, through the lens of the world, or through something that's happened to us or been said to us at some point. So what I would say to you, Natalie, or anyone else who is having this issue, one, we need to deal with getting clarity. Part of the reason why a lot of people drag their feet is a lack of clarity. A big reason why people don't go to the next level of their brand or business building is also a lack of clarity. Insecurity definitely slips in there, but a lack of clarity holds a lot of people back from a lot of things. So I would say cooking and food, of course there's a lot of people doing that on YouTube, but there's not a lot of people doing it properly. This is about learning the proper strategies of positioning and packaging so that you are presenting something from a slightly unique angle. And so many people will leave comments saying that they feel like they don't have that special thing. Friend, that is a limiting belief. There is something about you, the way you speak, the way you show up. There's something about you that's relatable to a specific person out there that's looking for a specific thing, a specific angle, a relatable type kitchen, whatever it is that they're looking for, a specific diet. So we just have to figure out what that section of that lane is that you're meant to be in. You need clarity on what kind of creator you are, on what type of platform you want to be on, and what you want, the details around what you want the message to be. And then we figure, once we know who that perfect person is, we figure out how to perfectly package things for that specific person. And then you're set up beautifully with whatever algorithm you are contending with. But these are all beautiful foundational things so that you are not wasting your time. I don't enjoy that. I don't even like thinking back on all of the tangents and things I went on because I didn't have clarity. My main channel, okay, it's around 186,000 subscribers right now. My main channel has been my learning channel for me. That's where I have learned all of these things. And then this channel got monetized in 20 videos. The Wagging Tails channel is monetized. And then I have 2 other channels that I'm going to be telling you about later this year, but I'm going to be applying all of these things that I'm teaching to them to get those channels monetized, to show that this is not luck. This was wisdom given to me by God, connecting dots and then putting those strategies into place in the proper manner, that you can get these channels monetized, and then understanding and having the wisdom to recognize the fact that you can monetize through these hubs like YouTube, if you want to do social platforms like those, if you want to do something like Pinterest or a blog, and how to tie the whole ecosystem together, you realize that you can monetize on these platforms. Most specifically, YouTube has the best conversion as far as that's concerned, but you can monetize through them, and you can monetize before you're even monetized on the platform. So there are so many possibilities that open up once we learn these foundations and get the clarity, but we can't even do that if we're not willing to put the seed in the ground. If we're just constantly procrastinating and dragging our feet on something. Are there areas where I'm recognizing that I keep making the same excuses over and over again, or I'm justifying this in this way? Some of the biggest breakthroughs I have ever had in my life have been when I have just been real with God. I mean, He already knew what I was thinking anyway. He already knew what I was feeling. It's like He already knows when you're upset. He knows when you're mad. He knows when you're frustrated. He knows. So it's just better to say it. I know you already know this, but I'm just telling you. It's really for our benefit, but it makes us closer to Him. And it gives more opportunity for Him to lead us, because then we're not hanging on to the control of keeping things that he already knows about anyway. So that idea that keeps coming back to you, the business idea or the brand building idea you've been hanging on to for months, you tried something, it didn't really work, and so you just tossed it aside because you weren't sure how to come back to it or how to deal with it, or you're frustrated. That direction or that thing that won't leave you alone, that can very well be pulling on your heart that you are pushing aside. People will say to their kids that delayed obedience is a form of disobedience. God might have a timeline that He's looking for, and it might have nothing to do with you. It might have to do with other people that are going to find you, your particular way of talking about something or showing something or doing something, your particular testimony, your particular way that you run your business, whatever it is. There's something specific, and it might have everything to do with somebody else, but He can't multiply it just stuck in here. One of the first steps to getting the clarity, and I can't recommend this enough, either start a doc on your computer, or if you're like me and you like a good old-fashioned notebook, get yourself a notebook. Any notebook. It can be a dollar store, or what are they now, $1.25? Are we up to $1.50? I know it's not the dollar store anymore. One of those notebooks, or I like a good vintage looking, leather bound, all extra and fancy and unnecessary, but fantastic. I like one of those journals with like the old aged paper inside, but get it out of your head and get it on the paper. You might have all these ideas swirling. You might be like me, where you're somebody who has multi-interests or multi-ideas or multi-passions. Get it all down on paper and submit it to God in prayer and ask for clarity and wisdom. So what are some reasons people don't start? Do you have your reasons? Would you tell me in the comments below so we can work through it together? A lot of the things that I see over and over again are just fear of doing it wrong. People sometimes think that they're not going to be able to learn something, or it's going to take too long to learn something, and so they keep putting it off. Insecurities, that is a whole huge scope of a million things that can be. Overconsumption or lacking intention in how you utilize social media. So instead of being intentional about following specific things that are going to get you to where you want to go, just kind of haphazardly scrolling and being distracted and losing a lot of time into that black hole, and waiting to feel ready. And that's kind of the big one for a lot of things in life. Now, there's a difference between discerning a waiting season and just straight up, well, I'm not ready, this is not in place, this isn't perfect, this, that, and the other. And many a person has wasted a season or two on not feeling ready. I don't know if any of us ever feel fully ready to do certain things in life. I don't know. I usually just ask God for a certain level of peace, or, hey, I guess I'm just going to leap now, and I'm trusting that you are going to give me all that I need on the way down as I'm free falling. You got that parachute somewhere down there. I just know it. I'm feeling back there for the parachute. I'm like, oh, I know it's there. I don't know if we ever feel totally ready. In Genesis 26:12, Isaac sowed in a land that didn't even look promising. That land reaped 100-fold. The blessing came because he planted a seed in faith into a land that looked one way. So it wasn't based on what he saw. It wasn't like, oh, this is the most fertile land I've ever seen. This is going to come back 100-fold. So that obedience was not based on conditions. He planted where he was supposed to plant, and God blessed him 100-fold. So on to the practical application of our business meeting today. It is in session. If you feel like God's if you feel like God has put something on your heart, write it all down clearly. All the stuff that's going on in your head, what you think he's saying to you, or what you think you're going to be doing, write it down. We're just going to get it out of here onto something. All right, that is step one. You are going to choose the smallest real step. You're going to choose one step in the direction that you need to go into. One of the steps of the 100 that you've been avoiding, and you're going to do it within the next 48 hours after you write it down on that piece of paper. You are going to stop just consuming. You are going to start to consume intentionally things that are going to get you closer to your goal. And then you are going to do something. So instead of just consuming, you are going to create something. Or you are going to begin the process of learning something. That is the learning process is part of the creation. So you're going to take one step. It doesn't have to be a whole video. You don't have to know your whole niche. You don't have to do a whole relaunch. You don't have to build a whole course, but you're going to take a step. God gives the increase, not you. You are not responsible for making it grow fruitful and strong. You are responsible for planting the seeds and driving the roots down deep. Being like the tree that's planted by the waters. Submitting everything you do unto the living water to make sure that you're pulling from the right stream. Even when the sun is beating on it, it knows that it will continue to produce fruit in every single season. You are going to plant the seed submitted by the living waters, and you are going to take the first few steps to allow the roots to go down deep so that there is a solid foundation underneath your plans. When you submit your plans to the Lord, He is then able to establish and make your path straight. The submitting is the seed planted. The making the path straight is the bringing the increase. That's what God does. Some of you, and I've had this conversation with myself, so I'm not trying to come down on you, but some of you are waiting for a harvest from a seed you never planted. Start the thing God is asking you to start. Not perfectly, faithfully. God, I don't think He ever expects us really at the end of the day to get it perfect. He kind of knows how we are. He's aware of the shenanigans. But isn't it good news that God will still choose to use us for certain purposes or bless us in certain ways, even though he knows us? He knows, he's already factored, I know he's already factored in my stupidity, my foolery, my shenanigans. He's factored it all in. And yet he still wants us to co-labor with him. And that's beautiful. That is so, so, so beautiful and humbling. So start the business. Okay? Doesn't have to be perfect. Just faithful. That's what God's looking for. Be obedient. Plant the seed. You don't know who is out there that he has waiting for you to just start the thing. And you don't want him to have to move on and go pick someone else for that person. When you were first up on the roster, do the thing. Start the thing. You have a very, very good and faithful God who does not run out of parachutes. So I get it. Okay, I really do. I really do get it. But I'm telling you, it's just incredible what can happen. It really is. There is such an opportunity today that's never existed before. And I want you to walk in everything that God has for you. Everything that you don't even realize you're capable of yet. So if you have any questions, if you have comments, please leave them. I would love to highlight another comment on the next video. If you are interested in my resources, the free Skool community, if you are interested in my programs, my YouTube Masterclass, my Crack the Code course, I have my Clarity Challenge. That is great for just those first few steps to get you going and answer the questions you need to answer to get that little bit of clarity. I have all of that for you in the description box. I would love to walk with you on your journey, but either way, I truly pray all the best for you, friends. I pray that you would prosper and be in good health just as your soul prospers in God. Thank you so much for taking a piece out of your precious day to spend it here with me. I appreciate you. I love you. And Lord willing, I will see each and every one of you beautiful and precious souls right here on the next one. Bye, friends. Mwah. God bless you.